Welcome back, people, to the Spider-Man series. This is the end. The end is near, but the end is here. Right, this is the end, and it is the DLC review and what my takes are on it, and what was good, what was not, how could they have improved it, how could they have made a better story, use different characters, such and such. One thing I will get onto before I change what's on the screen currently is the fact that I have used a grading system similar to the grading system in all of the Dragon Ball games. So just like in school, or school in my day when I was a kid, the grading system goes D, C, B, A, and then on top of A you've got S tier and Z tier. Z tier obviously being the top tier. The reason I've done it like that is because A's are good, what I find, but there's always something above an A, something that you just gotta give 10 out of 10, really, in good stories, that is. So S is 9, and then, Z would be 10. That's what that is. Forget all the talking, and let's turn the page and get into the heist, which is obviously part 1 of the DLC. Right. So the main story, I gave it a B grade. Now that was simply because it was okay, but it wasn't the best. Obviously, the main story was Black Cat, Felicia, tricking Spider-Man into thinking that he has a kid, so he helped her along the way to get what she wanted off Hammerhead. That was the main story. I thought, it was within her character. It's not something that she wouldn't do as a character as a whole, so I gave it a B. As I say, it's not great, I can't even say the word antagonistic. The antagonist, yeah, that's it. The antagonist. It was an A because, as I just said, she did everything in her character. She was smart. She was devious, and she had good gadgets as well. She had that relationship with Spider-Man that made you, as a viewer, want to see more. So she was a good antagonist. That's why I gave her an A higher grade. The side missions were a C. Now, the side missions were okay. There wasn't really bad, but there was edging on the edge. Obviously, you had that one side mission where you had to go and find all the missing paintings that her dad put there, and then you could easily predict that the policeman was a dad, and it was kind of a bit tedious. But that's why I gave it a C. It could have been a lot better, but it wasn't entirely bad. Right, cutscenes and mechanics I gave an S tier. As I said before, the relationship between Felicia and Peter was off the charts. They told us that a physical relationship before, so we had some history behind that. Obviously, we had the calls with MJ on the phone as well, getting jealous behind that physical relationship. And then when the son came involved, the son, should I say, then that created a whole new bond between all three characters. Cutscenes were excellent. Were excellent, and the mechanics, I put mechanics there as well, because obviously there was different mechanics where you could team up with Felicia to take the bad guys down. I thought that was nicely done, although all you had to do was press one button, so that could have been a little bit better to put it into the Z tier. That's why it's an S. The ending of this part was Z tier, was 10 out of 10. And now the reason why I say that is because I didn't expect it. When I was, I expected it when, obviously, they rigged the apartment and she went there, but the lead up to that, I did not expect it. Obviously, we knew what she wanted towards the end, and then Hammerhead shows his face out of nowhere, sets her apartment on fire, and we was left with the cliffhanger of is she dead or is she alive. Now, obviously the creators did that to make us pay for the second DLC. I'm not gonna bullshit you about that. I know why they did it, and you should know why they did it too. It's pretty obvious. So it wasn't gonna make this like a story in itself for part 1, and then a story in itself for 2 and 3. So you wouldn't have to buy the other DLCs. They were smart about it. They were very smart. But as I said, the ending was great, and it really hyped me up for part 2. Any improvements on the part as a whole were just the side missions. I think everything else was a good to a great standard. And that is it for part 1. Now, for part 2, Turf Wars, which was obviously the follow-up to the heist. The main story was a C. It was teetering on the edge of, being boring. And it's just, I don't think, I'll get into him later. But the main story as a whole didn't grip me like the first one did. Well, wasn't interesting like the first one was. And it was just like the regular crime boss sort of thing. Like, there was no twists and turns. And obviously Yuri's was he a second in command, or was he like just an officer? I don't know who he was. Obviously he got killed, and then that set Yuri off onto her own path. So that was nice for a bit of a side character there. But as the main story as a whole, I wasn't feeling it that much. That's why I gave it a C. Antagonistic. Now, and why do I keep on saying that? Antagonist. Antagonistic. Antagonist. Right. I gave this a D, the lowest grade possible, because let me tell you something about Hammerhead. He should not have been part of this DLC. That's my thoughts. He should have been, at most, a side mission in the main story game. I don't think he's an interesting enough character to hold down the DLC like all 3 parts. We're focused on him basically. He was integral in all 3 parts. Obviously this was his biggest part because it was about him solely. But yeah, I just don't think he's got a metal plate in his head and he hates watch people. That's it. And he wants money. That's it. There's nothing else to. There's no layers. There's no layers to the character. There's nothing else. He just hate people and out of commission. What more can I say about him as an antagonist? That's it. Side missions, I gave it a C. Just like the main story, this was teetering on the edge as well, simply because the side missions were just the basic missions that you got in the main story. Jump into the warehouse, take out all these guys. There was nothing more than that. There should have been something, I don't know, but as I said, you can't really make the side missions great if the main story wasn't great as well. Like, you've kind of cut your toe off really from the main story. So how are you going to make the side missions any better when the main story wasn't great? Cutscenes and mechanics was a C. I mean, the only cutscene I really liked in this was the end of in the warehouse when Yuri's officer got shot, and that was it. Spider-Man comes in, starts punching Hammerhead in his face, and that's about it. The ending was a B. The ending I thought was the best part of this part. That's simply because the last fight was decent. It was very decent, and obviously you had Yuri come back at the end for revenge. Obviously, he got the gun there, and tied up Spider-Man a bit. He managed to get loose, and he manages to just yank the gun out in time, but it still shoots him. And obviously, he was dead. And then we got that extra cutscene on the end that somebody revives him. And I thought, okay, that was decent. It wasn't great, but it was decent. Like, because I thought either I didn't predict it, because I thought either did you just catch him, lock him up from there, and then part 3 would be Silver Sable's story on its own, or I thought he was really dead. I didn't expect that little twist at the end. That's why I gave it a B. All in all, improvements to be made was everything above the ending. Part 2 was definitely the weakest part out of the 3 parts, and I don't think that's really debatable. Right, now on to part 3. Silver linings. Silver linings. I think this was the strongest part of the whole DLC, The City That Never Sleeps. Probably rivals the heist in some aspects, but beats it overall. Main story is an A. The main story was a really good story. Obviously, Sable, she wants to help out Holmes in Symkaria, and she can't do so because Hammerhead's messing with all the equipment, and she wants to get back home, help her people. I thought that was very, very well done, how she tied it into that previous storyline, that was good. But one thing I did not like about the main story, which is not above A, was the fact that obviously, if you remember in part 2, the final boss, Hammerhead, he had all that equipment on him. I mentioned this in the video. And then they started putting the random goons in that equipment, and it made Hammerhead feel even less important than he actually is. I'd never liked him to begin with, and then they put the goon, and he was like, well, what's the difference between you and him? You know what I mean? There's no difference there. That's what I didn't like about the main story. Okay, the antagonist, right? So that one, right for once, Silver Sable herself, Z. She was amazing, honestly. She was really, really well done. She's the embodiment of how to make a great female strong character without it being Brie Larson. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna Brie Larson in Captain Marvel. I'm not gonna say anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right, but that is how to write a character. Right. She was just amazing. She was strong, both physically and mentally. She was smart, right? She even compromised at the right time to work with Spider-Man to take Hammerhead down in the end. She was the best antagonist of this whole series, I want to say, of this whole DLC. Side missions were a B. Obviously, you had I ranked these side missions better than all the other parts side missions simply because you had the Olympus hideouts where you helped David, and I thought that was a nice little tie-in to the main mission. We're helping David, and you know, you had this whole side story of. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just me that thought he was a villain. I'm pretty sure everybody thought he was a villain, and then it turned out they twisted it, and he was a really nice guy, and he went to help out kids. I thought that was really, really well done. Really well done. I couldn't, you know, I suppose the only reason why I gave it a B is because they could have added an extra side mission that was just as interesting on top of that. But there wasn't. Right. Cutscenes and mechanics, I gave that an A. Just like part 1, all the cutscenes with Silver Sable and Peter were just full of chemistry. They complemented each other well in their script and in their fight scenes, when obviously Peter throws Silver Sable at Hammerhead at the last second as well, and it was just funny. You heard me laughing a lot in part 3 because their lines and the high fives and everything was just funny between them. And they're great. I mean, you could even ship them if you wanted to. But I did check on the character models, and she is about 36 in this game, I think, and he's 23. So I suppose you could say there's a 13-year difference and they'd never get together, whatever. And she probably thinks he's childish, which she has said, so whatever. But yeah, you could ship them together if you really tried to. And the ending was an A. The ending was great. Obviously, they teamed up, as I just said, to defeat Hammerhead. They took him down well. And obviously, she goes back home. He asks for a ride back, and he swings off her thing. And then, obviously, the tribute to Stanley comes up. R.I.P. Stanley. What an OG. And I thought the ending was great. So, that's part 3. Conclusion-wise, the DLC, I'd say, as a whole, everything in total, was it worth the money I paid? Now, let me tell you how much I paid for it. Originally, the DLC was, I want to say, £24, which if I paid £24, I'd feel a little cheated. The length of it was great. It was, you know, it was a great length. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't, obviously with the side mission part, there wasn't that many variables to the main story where you'd feel like you was getting your money's worth from £24. Now I paid £16. Now, I think I probably just about got my money's worth. I don't think it was probably any more worth than £16. So I'd say what I'd recommend to you, if you want to play this after seeing the content and all that, if it drops in price by the time this comes out, because I'm recording this, I record months in ahead because I'm a busy guy with work. I work like, I don't know, 45 hours a week, so I can't record day to day. But if you're watching this months ahead and the price has dropped from £16, I definitely recommend you to buy it. Definitely. I think it would be more than worth its money that way. So, for £16, just about anything less would be great. Now, as a whole, what would I do different if I was in charge of creating this DLC? First, you probably could have guessed, but Hammerhead would not have been the main plot point, main antagonist of this story. He's just not interesting enough. Now, what I will say to that is, I understand the likes of Venom, Green Goblin, most likely Carnage, and who else? Prowler. The reason why I say Prowler is because I'm recording this the week that Sony have released and making that spin-off with Miles Morales. So them four, and most likely all the Sinisters, obviously, that was in the game are off limits, because it was already in the game, and obviously Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage and Prowler are most likely going to be in the sequels. Those are big names, huge names. But what I would have done, I would have taken Hammerhead out and I would have put in Kraven the Hunter, an excellent villain. If you if you don't know who he is, go read some comics, go watch the animated show, Kraven Hunter. Chameleon, who is Kraven Hunter's, I think it's lost in translation, he's either his half-brother or step-brother. I think they might change it between what you read comics and, you know, TV shows. Kraven, Chameleon, and I probably would have added Jekyll. The Jackal, he's called the Jackal, yes. Because he is a very underrated Spider-Man villain. I don't think I've ever played a Spider-Man game where he was in it, and he's extremely underrated. So I would have probably added them three, and then obviously if I was in charge and somebody says no, you can't have one of them three, I'd say okay, take one of them out, put Lizard in, because Lizard was also hinted in the actual main story's game. One of the backpacks, I think I did it on camera, I opened it up and there was lizard blood in the backpack. So maybe they did that to tease him being in a sequel, I don't know. But I would have put him in the DLC as well. So that's one thing I would have done. Another thing I would have done is a thing that really annoyed me, pissed me off, was all the conversations with Miles. Now, I know, I've just told you that I'm recording this the week that they've released the Miles sequel. And that's great. I've always loved Miles as a character, and I want to see games and movies with him and everything. But to have just phone calls with him in the DLC, I felt cheated. I mean, I wasn't asking him to be Spider-Man just off the bat like that. I wasn't asking that. I mean, I could have even appreciated a couple of training modules with him, you know, a switch of characters, leave from Peter going to Miles, and he's using his web shooters to practice at dummies, or he's swinging in his neighbourhood, or, you know, anything like that, really. But the phone calls, and he was just, it was a bit annoying. And then obviously the ending, where if you looked after the credits, the fly off, and then that was the end. I was like, come on now. Right. So that's another thing I would have changed. The third thing I would have changed, I suppose you could say change, was MJ. Now, I think MJ was annoying simply because you got to actually play as MJ in this DLC, when I just said you didn't get to play as Miles. Who wanted that? I mean, I read reviews based on the main story where people was complaining about MJ playing in the main story. So why would anybody want to pay to do it in the DLC? You know what I mean? And then it was a stupid thing. You go around and you shot people, and you just had the laptop, and you know what I mean? It was I feel like the roles should have been reversed. She should have stayed on the phone and maybe met up with him as some emotional support. And when he thought he had a son and all that, that should have been cool. And then Miles should have been played as a training drill. That's one thing I thought it should have happened. All in all, what's my grade on the DLC entirely? I'd say it is a B grade. B pushing towards an A. Just worth the money of what I paid, £16. So that is the conclusion to the Spider-Man review. I'm sorry I'm not in a suit or anything like I do for the Hall of Fame reviews, but this ain't Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame special, you know what I mean? And I just thought this would be a chill one, and it's only going to be 25 minutes ish or something like that. So that was that. Next, what am I going to do next on my channel? Now that this is finished, you probably want to know. Well, I'm guessing, because I'm recording this in June, as I just said earlier, I'm guessing this is coming out the same time FIFA 21 has been released, unless FIFA 21 has been delayed because of all the problems we've had this year with you know what. Because I think this episode will either come out the 2nd of October or the 1st of October. I'm unsure now. But obviously FIFA is usually out the last week of September. So what I was planning to do is get FIFA on release date and do the career mode and post straight away. Probably take a week off work so I can record and post straight away. You know, get it out there, because obviously I want some more views, but obviously I love FIFA as well. So even though the games have been a bit shaky for the past couple of years, so maybe you're watching this the same time that the channel is, you know, going with FIFA 21. Maybe not. I don't know. So what I'm saying is, it took me a long time to say, but what I'm saying is, if FIFA 21 is up and running at the moment, at the same time this is, then it will probably just be FIFA 21 on the channel up until I do my, I said before, up until I do my 2 career modes. And then I think every year I'll probably just do 2 career modes and bounce, something like that. 2, maybe 3. Maybe 3. The reason why I say maybe 3 is because I now post 6 days a week, and I'll probably start FIFA and release date, whereas I started FIFA and New Year's Eve when my channel started in FIFA 20, so there'll probably be maybe 3 career modes if I'm feeling it. So yeah, so it will just be FIFA for now, and I'll probably record something, because obviously it's June. I'm not going to wait all the way up until September when FIFA comes out to record that stuff. And not recording anything, it's just going to be a waste of time for me. So I'll probably take a week off, clear my head, edit these 2 videos that I've last recorded today, and then I'll probably start another game, you know, from my rack. I'm just not even post them, just edit them, leave them on my laptop up until I feel like it's ready to post those, because I don't want to overload you with content, you know what I mean? It's like, it would have been like an hour a day minimum of me, so that's probably a bit too much, you know what I'm saying? So I'll probably, you know, leave them on my laptop or my hard drive and then post them whenever those career modes are finished. Don't know the game yet, which is going to be. I've got a couple of ideas, but I'm going to have to do some research in how long they're going to be and such and such. So that's the future of the channel anyway. I'm glad that you're watching this video. I have no idea if this Spider-Man series has had any hype or a lot amount of viewers, but I'm glad for the ones that are watching it. Even if it's one person, I love you, man. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's one person, but I appreciate you sitting down and watching my content. It does mean a lot to me. I've been doing this now for 8 months, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So that's that. Right. So thank you for listening again, and I will see you maybe tomorrow if it's not a Sunday for FIFA. I'm guessing anyway. So, till next time, I'm back. Can you believe I went all that review without mentioning Screwball once? Come on. I couldn't just edit that and put it out there without mentioning Screwball once. So what I will say is, she was annoying, it was tedious, didn't need to be in all 3 parts. It felt like the creators were just, the developers were lazy and just like put her in there with the same challenges, and the finale of her arc just was not satisfying whatsoever. So whatever my score was, can't remember it because obviously my clothes say I'm recording this in another day. Drop that by 0.25 or drop that by 1 grade or whatever I'm rating this on. I think it's Z to D's in it or something, because the Screwball really annoyed me, and I'm pretty sure if you go out and buy this DLC, it will really annoy you playing through that as well, just 100% it. But that is that, and now I'm finally signing off. So till next time.